Whoosh! You look in the mirror and grab your belly fat and thigh, and suddenly you say, crap, I need to lose some weight. So you decided to exercise. Here is what happened to your body when you sweat. With the finish line in sight and you put up an extra burst of speed, as your leg pick up the space, your breathing gets deeper and your heart pounds faster and sweat pours all over your skin. How does this substance suddenly materialize, and what exactly are the purpose? There are a number of scenarios that can make us sweat: eating spicy food, nervousness, and when we are sick. But exercise is probably the most familiar and common. In that cases, sweating happens as a response to movement. Triggered deep inside your cells. As you increase your pace, your muscles work harder, increasing their demand for energy, a process called cellular respiration, which consumes glucose and oxygen to form ATP, which is the energy currency of the cells. Much of this process takes place in a structure called mitochondria. The more you move, the harder the mitochondria work to supply your body with energy. All this work comes at a cost, though. As the cells break down the ATP, they release heat. The heat stimulates temperature sensors throughout all over the body. Those receptors detect the excess heat being produced by your muscle cells and communicate the information to the hypothalamus in your brain, which regulates the body temperature. The hypothalamus responded by sending signal out through the sympathetic nervous system to the sweat gland in your skin. These are distributed all over the body with a special high concentration on the palm of your hand, the sole of your feet, and on your head. When a sweat gland first receives the signal, the fluid surrounding the cell coil base contain high amount of sodium and chloride. The cells pump this ion into the hollow tube that runs through the sweat gland. Then, because it's saltier inside the tube than outside, water moves into the tubes by osmosis. Osmosis might sound like a big word, but osmosis is the movement of molecules from highly concentration to a lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. So, as the primary circulation builds up at the bottom of the tubes, water pressure pushes it up into the long straight part of the duct before it seeps into the skin. Cells lining the tube will reclaim as much salt as possible so that the process can continue. The water in sweat absorbs your body heat energy and then evaporates off you when it reaches the surface, which in turn lowers your body temperature. This process is known as evaporation cooling. It's an important adaptation for our existence because this cooling effect is not only helpful during exercise, we sweat in many other scenarios too. Eating particular spicy food makes some people sweat profusely from their face. That happens because spicy triggers the same neutral response in the brain that activates temperature receptors, which usually respond to increased heat. Sweating is also part of fight or flight response, stimulated by stressful scenario, like asking someone out on a date or the last time you were in your job interview. This happens because adrenaline stimulates muscles activities and causes blood vessels to widen. Two responses then increase heat and trigger the sweat response. And sweating also occurs when we get sick. When we are feverish, we sweat because infection stimulates the hypothalamus to increase muscles activities, which in turn releases more energy as heat that increases your overall temperature, which is a protective mechanism that makes your body less habitat for infectious agents. Like with running, sweating helps your body vent that heat when the fever is over, or you have won the race by burning adequate amount of calories. Your temperature receptor senses the decrease in heat, and the hypothalamus brings your sweating response to an end. In some cases, like after running, the hypothalamus also signals to your body that you need to replenish the water you have lost during the sprint exercise. So, when you are pushing yourself to reach the next goal, you can think of your sweat as your own body calibrator, enabling you to go the extra miles. Have you subscribed to Bactolan & Co yet? If not, don't sweat it. Go ahead and do so right now. And as always, don't forget to smash the like button. God bless you, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.